Hey guys, this is Production Music Live with another tutorial, and this one we are going to have a look at the style of EDX. It's a mixture between deep house, future house, bass lines sound kind of future housey, and progressive house, those starting elements. In this project file you can see I'm grouping the drums in this group. There are quite a lot of drums in there, so we are going through this later. And I'm closing the group again. Over here we have a couple of bass layers. Layering in the bass frequencies is important for this kind of style. And also over here we have a group of instruments. This one, where we have those pads and guitar sounds that are playing in the beginning, for example, and in some intermediate parts. I'm closing that down for now because we're going to start with the bass. And those were the original MIDI notes, where the bass notes are basically playing this pattern. And we are going to focus on this part over here. I have this complete song structure remade over here, but I'm playing different notes. And this part is also available as template, check the description. But we are going through everything in detail in this section over here. So this is the complete song with the start, with the build up, with the first drop, with the harmonics part and the breaks and another drop and so on. And there's a playthrough video of this complete thing lasting 3 minutes. And you can check the description for that one as well. But let's start over here and focus on the single elements of this style of EDX, and we are going to start with the bass layering. So on top I'm playing a kick sample. As always, I'm choosing one out of our deep premium sample pack, and I'm heavily EQing it to make it sound a little more like the one EDX was using. So I don't have that actual kick from him, but let's quickly play it. And it's kind of snappy already because we cut out all those wooden frequencies around 200 and 230 and a little more 260 over here, adding some snappies in there. That's a mixing question later, and still cutting off something. Adding some low end cutting off this woody part gets you a snappy kick. That one's really nice and snappy. So let's combine this kick with the first element, surely used, a sub bass. So this sub bass over here, let's loop this section and focus in detail on what's happening here. Or maybe it's even better if we just copy those elements down here. So we are starting with the kick. Just playing the kick for now, and I'm going to copy the MIDI pattern of the sub bass for now. So the MIDI pattern is slightly different from the original one. It's playing this. I'm going to play it now, but you need to be on headphones or on speakers with a lot of low end to actually be able to listen to this. And right away we notice that there's sidechaining missing, so I'm copying the pattern of the sidechain. It's also one of our kicks, and it's giving that information to the compressor here, sidechain. At the transient of the kick, we are cutting off a little bit, we are ducking a little bit off the bass frequencies. We have a separate tutorial on the sidechaining technique, check channel if you're interested. Here you can see the gain reduction. So what is the sub bass actually playing? And it's out of the Future House Volume 2 preset pack. We are playing a sine wave, and that's basically all we are doing. We are not applying any other oscillators. We are applying fully amped the sine wave, a little bit move to the square, sine square, spectrum, no modulation going on, no noise going on, everything is off over here, and no filtering. We are just shaping the envelopes a little bit. Well, we are taking off some attack and we are giving it some time. And that's basically everything that's happening here. It's a simple sub bass. So we can just use that one. What we're doing now, like this Future House bassline effect, relies a little bit on doubling or on chorus effect. So we are trying to move stuff that's in the middle of the panorama, of the stereo panorama, and we are trying to move it to the sides. So why would you do that with the sub bass? Doesn't really make sense, because the sub bass is actually just playing in the centered mid frequencies. Still, there might be some frequencies here on the sides. Note this, equalizers in mid-side mode, stereo, left, right, mid-side. I'm giving it a little bit of punch over here in the mid frequencies, around 56. Then I'm adding some side frequencies in those lower mids and mid frequencies, and for those to be actually available, I'm opening up the chorus effect a little bit. So I'm losing a little bit of punch in the sub, but I'm adding something on the side that makes this roomy kind of effect in the bass frequency. So if we put off the chorus, there should be no spectrum visible on the sides. If I put it on, you see there's spectrum. There's spectrum over here visible, and that's why I'm doing that, why I'm adding that chorus to open it up a little bit. Now you can argue that that's a weird technique, but I'm always trying to end up having the sound of the original I'm trying to rebuild, so I kind of had the feeling that this helped me get closer to the sound. And we are going on with our bass group over here. I'm adding, like this sub bass isn't enough at all to get closer to the EDX sound, so I'm opening up this other bass over here, and that's I call this saw highs. So let's copy this pattern. It's actually the same MIDI pattern. Let's copy this and listen to it together. So we are working with a preset called BS Nizza, and that has a Flanders curve, amped up quite a bit, grain is off, and square to saw is towards saw wave 1, amp is up. And we have a little bit of noise on top of that as well, with this sort of, but it's not too heavily applied. And also we have a filter with this attacky envelope, and also we are working, it's a low pass 2 filter, and also we are working with a band pass filter, and the filters are in serial mode. So we first apply this one, and second one is this one being applied, and we are mixing it slightly towards the second one. Over here we are using a classic tube and a little bit of reverb, which is off at the moment, as you can see in this macro control. High shelf, slight high shelf with the EQ over here. Bit crushing insert, sample and hold insert, and crush and sample and hold. They're actually not really applied at the moment. If we have a look at the routing, we can see those inserts are placed behind the 2 filters over here. If we look at the voicing, we can see we have unisono on 2 and we have the unisono spread open a little bit. So we're just opening up a little bit the side panorama and giving it a little bit of detuning, and our fourth amplifier envelope looks like this. Attack very harsh over here, and decay is up all the way. So this is the sound from the preset. Let's listen to it without any effects applied. Let's put it in context without those effects. So I'm looking for this high saw kind of frequencies over here. That's why I'm putting this bass in there. And it's already doing a pretty nice job. But it can be closer to the EDX style. So I'm adding in one of those saturators from the audio effects over here, saturator. And I'm taking a bit warmer patch, and I'm loading that in, and I'm putting it on 60%. So kind of have it a little warmer, and I'm putting the output down a little bit. And I'm shaping up a lot with the EQ8, this equalizer, placing more sub-frequencies or around 100 Hertz, and then taking those up a little bit as well. Not focusing too much on the higher stuff, but I'm giving it a little more punch over those frequencies. And there's a chorus being applied. That's when we really get this future housey opening up effect. So it's more like, it's getting more like a lead now. It's not a bass anymore, it's getting more like a lead sound in those higher frequencies. And then you notice with all those future house tracks that they are kind of roomy. So they sound as if they were recorded in a room. So we need to put up some reverb over here, and we are taking one of those drums return. So let's see, drums room over here. I think I started with that one, and then I kind of tweaked it a little bit, gave it a little bit of low cut, because I don't want to have a lot of reverb on those low cuts, on those low frequencies here. Also in the diffusion, I want to have them out of there, and I want to focus on the higher frequencies for the reverb effects. And I'm looking for the early reflections here. I'm not looking for the long tail, so I'm taking that up a bit, putting it on slightly below 1 second, and size not too high, but quality high, and dry wet up to 30, 33, and then you get this room. So that's enough for this saw part. Now we also need to get in a little more spectrum and sound variety. Let's listen to this one solo. So now we are talking. This is the future house influence. You can see there's also a chorus applied. There's a low cut over here. We don't need so many sub frequencies now anymore, because the sub is actually covering a lot of them already. Taking out this EQ quickly, and I'm putting on the same reverb, slightly less wet, and I'm putting my sidechain a little bit behind it now, because I want to, if there's any reverb still playing, I want to cut it away with the next kick. And well, there's a utility controlling the automation, which is not changing much over here. So let's check out the patch as well. It's called KS Plucky. and it's on M-Talk. It's on Square Saw, and again on Square Saw, but that one is actually off at the moment. And the white noise is off as well. We have a little bit of a modulation of the phase of the second one going on. Adds a little bit of this color. We also run it through a low pass too, and then we are kind of running it through a scream filter afterwards as well. In this case, we are shaping this one. This is the most important envelope because we are taking it to the amp. And you can see it's slightly clipping over here, so I'm taking it down a tad. And I can take it up here as well because I don't want internal clipping on the channel. So also we run it through a Browner tube. Makes quite a difference. A little bit of distortion, and the reverb is off at the moment. And there's a sine shaper, which is not activated at the moment. So that's the patch for this element. Let's play it in the context with the other ones. So that one can actually be named just reverb. And it's more an M-Talk. I think I copied those. I'm always trying to put in a little bit of information to the regarding the wavetables into the MIDI files, so it's clear, a little clearer to see. And now we can go to this next bass element, copy the pattern. Again, listen to it on solo. That one is the Nizza again, flint grain active at this point over here, and we are playing the square elements. No modulation on top, a little bit of bright noise on top. Maybe it's slightly lightening up, and also low pass 2, band pass, tube. Again, it's basically the same one as 2 tracks before, and we are also applying a bit warmer. We are also applying this mountain of EQ, and we are cutting off something over here, some resonant parts. Let's listen in there. And we're taking off this snappy stuff over here that's kind of disturbing. So if you put the EQ on listening mode, on headphones mode, you can listen to what am I taking out here, or what am I adding in. You can see we still have some internal clipping over here, so let's take off the output over here, -8, and well, you can take it back later, see if that works, or just go up 8. And actually, you notice we could make those MIDI notes in the saw parts a little shorter. can play around a lot. For now, we're happy with this part. Let's have a look at the global effects on this group. We still have a low cut over here. We are putting, so all the bass layers over here we just had a look at. Those are grouped together in the bass group, and on this bass group I'm applying 2 auto filters for transitions, where I'm taking down high frequencies or putting in a low cut, high cut, low cut, and I'm adding in the glue compressor. So this one over here, I'm putting it on punch and parallel, and it's 50% applied, threshold is down by 21, and it's actually working. Taking off some of those peaks. And well, this EQ, so not too much going on over here. Closing the group, and now we can have a look at, well, later we are evolving it slightly with one more top element. I'm going to put that in now as well, just to high side chorus. It's this higher frequent part that goes to the sides of the panorama. And it's very roomy as well, so there should be a chorus over here, open up a lot, and there's a drums return reverb put up to 52%, so that's quite some reverb already. You can really hear the room over here, and we have a little bit of side chaining still before the reverb, because in this case, in the higher frequencies, we want the room to come out a little more. And you can see crazy EQing going on. That's the normal EQing, and this is taking off some resonant parts, and then later I'm trying to really cut through the mix with all the other elements playing, and that's when this EQ, it looks kind of creepy because it's so adding in instead of subtracting. That's the sound design process, and later you could go ahead and try to take down the volumes a bit, make sure you're really working on low levels, and then take down those exaggerated curves a little bit. But over here you can see this is the sound design process, and we also have the a bit warmer on top of it, and we are playing the Nizza again over here with the flend, with the grain. It's always the same patch, slightly tweaked. You can see the volume automation as well. So if I'm taking this off, we listen to everything together. Yeah, later he's adding in some of those transitional notes over here for the next parts. And we have another element later in the main parts, sounds like this. There's a little more resonance in here. It's basically the same shape. It's the copied version of the one I just showed you in the effect chain. And it's a different patch, or it's slightly differently. I think the resonance should be different. Let's check that again. Over here the resonances are both on 9 o'clock. I think in the other one I put the resonance up a bit. Yeah, this one is on 10 or 10:30 or something, and that's really a noticeable difference already over here. If you put up the resonance, you're getting more of this. Okay, let's leave it that way. And we are pitching it up with one of the MIDI effects. We're going up 1 octave, 12 semitones. Alright, so I'm taking those two out for the moment, and we are going to have a look at the drumming now, which contains the kick, and there's a top kick, because this kick doesn't really have a snap, so I'm putting on a hi-hat on top of it, and that one is just giving this top kick feel. So tracks sound a lot more snappy and housey if you put this like a closed hi-hat on top of your kick, and you make it short in the sense that just really playing here. Actually, it's a very short sample, and also I'm cutting off all the frequencies that are covered by the kick, more or less. And then I'm taking another utility from the audio effects, and I'm putting the width down, because I think this sample was too wide in the stereo spectrum. Let's put this utility off. And with this width down to 38%, you're getting it more centered. It's more mono. Which is good in this case. This is also a sample out of our Premium pack. I think it's that one. We are also playing a lot more stuff. I think the most important thing is we need some kind of percussive element for the bass to be really bouncy. Let's go to this element over here, copy those MIDI notes. I'm going to show you what this is about. Make it shorter. We'll take this off for the moment and go in here. And we see it's a percussive sound. Well, basically, it makes kind of a difference in here. If we put that in on those positions where the bass is not really playing, or just finished, or we are before the next kick, we are getting a little bit of groove. So I'm putting this into a simpler device. That thing really makes a difference in the groove. We are adding in some claps now. I'm not sure if I'm still using that, but I'm just copying it just in case. And then over here, there's a clap. I cut this, I think this is a Dinka kind of clap, and I found this one really fitting in here. So let's take this one. And I'm cutting off the kick that's below the clap, and over here I'm putting in a little bit of chorus. I think we need to put on the delay now, because we are also delaying this clap by minus 18 milliseconds, so it actually comes 18 milliseconds earlier, so it's getting a little in front of the kick, so you have this hurrying effect. And it's always nice to have this transient of the clap starting a little earlier. It really gets this damn snappy, and it sounds a little more organic that way. So our clap is always sitting at the 1-2 and the 1-4, and you can see even the MIDI sample is a little bit placed earlier over here, just a tad. So we are actually more than 18 milliseconds early. So we have more claps over here. I'm layering a couple of claps because with EDX it sounds like claps layered, so I'm just putting them in quickly as well. What is this one doing? That one is heavily chorused, a little bit redux applied on top, so this is basically this element over here, Redux, because I think Redux is in here because I want to capture some of the higher frequencies, and sometimes samples are pretty low frequency-wise, and if you want to win back some higher frequencies, you can add in some reduction, and then it's getting a little more sweepy in the tops. That one's also clipping slightly, -3, +3 more or less. Chorus on off. Taking it a little more to the sides, low cut, taking out some resonances here and taking them out again, so they should be pretty rough. Headphone mode, listen in. Yeah, I think that's disturbing if we were to play it without it. Yeah, we want to get rid of this tone in those frequencies here. Just want to have the high end, and again chorus on top in the end to put it even more to the side. So this has really transformed the sound. Next sample. This is more the snare kind of clap. And it's really just this element. I think I layered this with 3 claps. Yeah, it's a processed sample, so there are more of them on top here. And why do we hear a delay? On this drums group, I have a couple of effects applied, and we have to have a look at it. So we have also the drums room on top, a little more than 1 second. Reverb, and it's just slightly opened up to add a little bit of room on all those clap and hi-hat drum elements. And also a little bit of EQing, but not too much. Actually, they were a little bit too high frequency, so I took them down and I added in some mid frequencies here. And it's also grouped and auto filtered, so we can like filter in the drums, which is always cool. And a little bit of a groove delay over here, so 5 to 3, just feedback slightly up, dry wet slightly up, and a little bit of like groove is always the simple delay. So this one here, and vinyl distortion just put in there as well to get them a little warmer. Okay, and the next clap is also layered. And it comes 26 milliseconds early. In addition to coming early in the MIDI as well. So let's put this all together. Now in the end, EDX is playing the snare stuff. So let's grab some of our snares and put those elements in here as well and open them up. You can see we are playing those two with the same MIDI notes, and this one is playing something in between. We have this one is just responsible for the higher frequencies, like a white noise, and this one is doing the noisy part, like the snare kind of part. So this higher part is cut off in the low frequencies, a little bit of bit reduction on top to open up the higher frequency parts, and chorus applied, and then there's not much more happening. And in this element, cutting off the higher parts because they're covered by this high snare already, and we want to focus on the deeper parts here. And it's even transposed down a little bit from the original sample position, and then we put a chorus on top. And also a little bit of sidechain, but that one is just copied down. It's not actually reducing much gain, just slightly. And this one is just here as alternative snare for the part in between, because on the first hit in the 1 bar spectrum there should always be something going on. Let's go to the next elements, which are, we have some hi-hats now. Let's copy those hi-hats over here and see what's going on. It's just 1, 2, 3, 4 hi-hat elements, but they're quite important to the groove over here. And we also have this audio over here, which I'm going to we'll discuss as well. Let's start with this audio actually and put off those hi-hats. So this thing over here is just this kind of swooshing effect I noticed in the original track, so I tried to find a reverse crash or reverse a crash sample and make sure it has a little bit of a crackling left and right, and I put it on low cut erosion. I think I took erosion off again, but I put it a little bit of bit reduction. So if we listen to this, yeah, it's a little more grumpy that way, vinyl distortion on top, and there's not much more happening here. But like this really adds into the groove. So this gives you the impression that something's going to come up after the 4 bars, but also over here we are like, it's not like a white noise, but it's kind of giving you the feeling that there's a smoother transition with it. So EDX is definitely using that element as well, so I'm putting it in as well. And then we have those 2 hi-hats over here. I put them a little bit left and right, and they're placed in simpler devices as well. So this one over here, let's listen in. Very short hi-hat, focusing on this frequency here. And the other one, so let's listen to the context. So that's really adding into the groove, and they're positioned quite unusual. It's really off the grid, as you can see. This is like drummers being late, but that's really, it's a really cool groove. So if we look in here as well, you can see we're a little off. So I think the same thing is happening with those 2 as well. And now, with those elements inside, those claps and hi-hats inside, you can see the importance of this effect over here, of this small percussive effect. Really adding to the groove now, especially here in this position. Without it, and with it, okay. Later in the track, we are introducing more drum elements. For example, some offbeat hi-hats. So let's copy them here and let's listen to them quickly. I'm not sure if those are the high ones or the low ones. the really high ones. You can see it's all cut off, and a little bit of bit reduction as well. Taken off this very resonant part here and putting on some chorus. And also there's, I think this one is the actual off hi-hat. Let's listen in to this one. It's also a pretty slight one. And where's the other one? Is that playing later? Oh yeah, it's probably... we also need to cover those. Yeah, it's true. So let's copy those elements over here as well. Get them over here and have a look at them as well. And I need this offbeat hi-hat here. So that one, yeah, that's the loud one. That's the one that really kicks in later and moves you forward. Taking those off quickly, and I'm taking the shakers off. And you see, for the groove, you should take off those hi-hats in here. Okay, so what do we have here? This is a shaker loop, also from our D Premium pack, as like most of those drum samples here. And sounds a little like this broken shaker loop, but it's really adding in a lot of groove. Let's take those off and listen to the context. And we have another shaker element over here with this this weird pattern. Always on the last one, on the free and. And we have a couple of more hi-hats over here. That one has quite some bit reduction going on. And what is this one doing? It's also a part of one of our loops here. Just like this robbing. And we have so maybe you're asking yourself, what the hell are you doing? Why do you have so many different hi-hat and drum elements? Well, basically they're not always playing all together. You can notice in the build-up of EDX, we are playing those green ones as well, and later with this drop we are not playing them all together. But like in the beginning, when you don't have the bass note so prominent, you really need those with the pads together. For example, if I play it without the shaker, it sounds totally weird. So EDX drumming sounds bouncy, but it's really it's all those tiny elements that really make the bounce. And I just noticed there's another bump in here, so it's this sample. It's like a high tom sample, and that one is important in this part. Okay, quickly cover white noise. As always, we have a white noise riser over here, and that one is just, I think it's a recorded white noise in this case. Yeah, I just put a recorded white noise into a simpler device, put it on loop mode, length, loop, fade. Just faders can be adjusted like this. You can see it's a nicer transition with the faders activated, and we are putting in some white noise here. And you can see there was also a cutoff. You can see the shapes over here. It's an auto filter. It's in the back. There it is. And well, let's quickly, like this was in an extensive view on the drumming, but drumming and bass are everything in this track, so we had to cover that in a little more detail. And now I'm going to show you quickly the instrument parts. Like for example, over here I'm using a guitar sample, sampled the open guitar, and it's one of the Ableton packs. I think I just recorded it quickly. Over here we can see the actual effect. So we are putting in a low end, low cut over here. We are adding in some sized reverb, 8 seconds long, and up to 46 dry wet, and a little bit of simple delay left right 4 to 6, feedback 35, dry wet 30, and utility is just controlling the volumes. And yeah, it's just, don't worry, it looks really confusing over here, but actually all this stuff isn't doing anything, so we can just ignore it and focus on the elements here in the back. So those are the ones that are actually being applied. Over here I have a massive playing this arpeggio kind of thing. So those notes were and you can see I have this massive, I think I quickly made this preset with square waves, saw wave just up a tad, and this one is off. No noise applied, no filters applied. This just, I wanted to have a square wave basically. And then I went ahead and cut off all the frequencies I didn't want to have in there. You can do a lot with EQing actually, and just wanted to focus on this part here. Simple delay 3 to 4, and heavy reverb, long tail up, diffuse it all the way, and volume control again. And over here I'm using I think it's a recorded a synth. It's basically a square, a saw wave together. I plugged this one into simpler devices basically, and Yeah, I'm playing those harmonies. You can see I took some out of there. And you can also do that with a synthesizer actually pretty easily. We have like 3 videos covering the sound, so I'm not going. If you're looking for a tutorial on how to make the sounds, just put in vibes pad into our search box on the channel, and you will find this tutorial. And well, I'm taking off. I think I'm taking off some frequencies over here. There's an auto filter, of course. Down a little, and yeah, and over here we are taking down some mid frequencies. This is covered by the bass later, and we're adding in something on the sides in the higher frequencies, a little bit of emphasis on the higher frequencies overall, and not more happening here. If we were to open the filter, we needed that quite closed already over here. And there's still some pianos with EDX sound as well, so I'm quickly putting in a piano out of the grand piano pack, but I recorded this piano sound so we can use it without the piano pack. And it's quite a dancey piano, cut off some lower frequencies as well, and put a little bit of chorus and reverb on top, a little bit of delay, and then you're good to go with those notes. There's a vocal sample, just adding in some Atmo over here. For the transition. And maybe this is also interesting over here. But if you, how do you describe that? It's actually like a pad playing a white noise part, but with a little bit of harmonies left in there. So we are taking this massive sound over here. We created it with saw waves and a square wave and another saw wave and a little bit of bright noise on top of that. And that's basically all the waves we need over here. And we're not doing anything with this EQ, but we're certainly doing something later. We open up the chorus, for example, 80%. We open up the reverb, 72%. And we are taking down the sidechaining threshold a little bit, which is here. But then there should be a heavy EQ down here. There it is. We are cutting off the lows. We are cutting off even more of the lows and mid frequencies in the middle. And we are taking a phaser on top and another auto filter cutting off the lows. And then we are adding in some delay. So we are just getting the highest end of the sound. That already sounds almost like white noise, but we still get a little bit of the harmonic feel, and that really makes the transitions nice. And we are taking down the gain as soon as the drop is coming over here, because we don't want to have any reverb tails in our drop. Like, what's the difference if we leave them? So we don't want this tail in there, we wanted to have it dry. Yeah, so those are basically the elements that are playing over here. Maybe there's one more nice thing. I think EDX is playing this kind of pad with background singers, but I would quickly rebuild it with this pad sound as well. And just a quick thing is there's a frequency shifter going on over here with the fine. So the frequency shifter is this element, and if you put the fine up and down automated, it has a nice tape start and stop effect. there's two more things we can have a look at. For example, we have this nice effect over here. This one really opens up the fill. And well, it's actually just this percussive blong sound we used before, and we are applying this pattern. And we are putting a little bit of EQing on top, a little bit of chorus. It's very centered without the chorus. And auto filter. So very simple effect. And also we quickly can cover what's on the master. And the master is featuring an auto filter that loads up from time to time just for the transitions, like over here. And then we are applying our typical PML mastering chain on top. There's another tutorial on this mastering chain, so you can just check how we constructed that one if you put in mastering chain in our YouTube channel search box, and there's the tutorial for that one. Okay, I think we are through with all the elements. Now we could go into detail in how to arrange it, but there's actually a playthrough video where you can see all the arrangement of the track, like this whole part over here. It's actually very easy to see which ones of the elements are playing where, and like how the bass sounds are playing, and what kind of instrument is positioned at what kind of position. You can see the Atmos down here as well. Well, basically I'm using a Vengeance Atmos sample over here just for a little more atmosphere. In the original track, this is achieved by the vocals that are actually singing, but we don't have vocals singing over here, so I'm putting this Atmos sample into our pitch. I had to take it down one semitone because it wasn't quite there. And then I put on some low cut here and put some heavy reverb on top to have it really in the background of the sound. This is basically the EDX remake tutorial. I hope you enjoyed this. Check the description for links to this template and to the massive presets and maybe the premium drum samples. If you liked it, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I hope to see you next time.